Hi, everyone. I'm back. It's Karen, and we're here together on live, naturally with Karen. I brought a little watermelon cooler, and I thought I would tell you how easy it is to make and what you can do with it. So I'm going to wait for a couple of people to join on here for just a moment. But the title of today's live stream is Start Somewhere. All of us have to start somewhere. Back in 1984, I started with a class. Then I continued learning with books. Today, you've got YouTube. So you and I get to spend time together. We get to do this together. I have been a very strong, positive, powerful mama influence on a great many people and dogs. And what I've done is texted and met with people in person and sat on the ground with folks that are houseless right now. And I've had clients that, pay for sessions through the screen, just like we're doing right now through video, coaching for 35 years. So as an elder who's 58 next month, 35 years of coaching and several years now of the hair testing so I can show people what's exactly going on inside, I wanted to bring you a special live today called Start Somewhere. Now, what happens if you feel like, man, it's just I've gone too far. I'm not even sure, or I've never even started before. What do I do? If you have access to certain resources, one resource is money, financial. Another resource is groceries, right? Another resource is time. Do we have money? Do we have food, groceries? Do we have time? Maybe you have one of those three, but you don't have all three. So maybe you're working 2 or 3 jobs like I did at one time. Maybe you're a solo parent like I did at one time. Maybe you've got your hands full because the children that you gave birth to, that you love so much, are now impulsive and defiant and oppositional, and you're just pulling your hair out. And I, as a therapeutic foster parent, went through a lot of that, and a parent. It's the elders, when we go through things, we experience things that we bring back to you so that you don't have to suffer at all or quite as long. Okay? So if you have access to money, you can buy some of the things I suggest, because I'm, going to be speaking to and with people that have one or all three of those or none of those resources right now. So I want to make sure that I enable you to do the best you can. If you have the resource that's money right now, and you don't have one already and you're just getting started, you need to start somewhere. Getting a Ninja blender. That is, I've held up the box in my other streams. It's $59 at Walmart. It's probably close to that price where you are. And it comes with 2 of these little carafes where you blend. And in this case, the only thing I did was get a watermelon that had seeds in it. You don't want the ones that say seedless, unless that's all you can find. But if you can find the ones that have the seeds, the hair testing that I do is, you want to see iron, zinc, and copper, calcium, 4 for me of some of the most important minerals, trace elements. So you can have nice skin, nice hair, okay, so you don't go gray so quickly, so you don't get cysts on your ovaries, so you don't have mood disorders. You got to start somewhere. If you're watching with me, I'm regenerating right now. I had a family member go through heroin addiction and fentanyl. And for over a year, it was high stress. So I, starting on March the 6th of this year, 2019, after I cut all my long, beautiful dreadlocks, and I said, I got to make a change. The stress was so enormous. I was crying every day. There was overdoses happening all the time. Luckily, the person's alive, but it was a mountain of stress. And it's not the first stressor I've gone through in my life. So what I did was I told myself, okay, now you're grabbing pretzels to go at the Quick Trip holiday. You're eating things you know you wouldn't normally eat because you're eating as if it's a food drug. You're putting yourself into food coma with eating wheat, starch. And you know that's a wrong thing to do, Karen. Why is it a wrong? Is it a right or a wrong thing to do? It's a wrong thing to do because that's how I packed on 40 pounds of weight, just like that. That's why I stopped sleeping so good. That's why my body started to hurt when I'm sleeping on the floor in my room over there. Sleeping on the floor, I have a sleeping bag and a couple layers of blankets. I put a blanket over me and I sleep on the floor. That might seem really weird for you, but if you go back, you're actually going to see what I look like less than 2 years ago on my sleeping on the floor and ditch your pillow video on YouTube. And you'll go, oh my God, I see what you're talking about now. So I had to start somewhere. I got up the courage because I had really dark circles under my eyes. I was really clearing my throat every breath I took. When I laid down on the floor, all the mucus from the starch and all the foods that I was eating that I don't normally eat. I was still eating a lot of plant-based, but I was eating a lot of starch. I was eating the kind of food that can just make me not think about my problems. Potatoes, wheat, yams, food like that that's high starch. French fries, okay? They're vegan still, they were, but they're super high starch. And it was winter in Minnesota. Can you relate with this? Because when the weather's really cold outside, or when we feel really stressed, we're going to look to do something to relieve. And what we're doing is actually what I talked about in Distractions and Layers, which is we're going to look to self-soothe ourselves. So I would always walk around with something in my hand as a cup, when I would go into even counseling, when I went in with another family member because we wanted to kind of work through something. Counseling is a tool. Your food is a tool. Your food is either medicine or your food is a drug. It's really that simple, right? This is food is medicine. And all this is taking that $5.99 gigantic seeded watermelon that I got at Aldi's 2 days ago, cutting it up and cutting it into chunks and trying to take as many of the seeds out, eating many of the seeds when I'm eating pieces of it. That's okay. Swallow them, eat them, no big deal, right? We don't want to tell our children, did you swallow a seed? Now you're going to grow an apple tree or a watermelon tree, because it's almost like we're programming them not to really understand and feel comfortable with the seeds. But anyway, if you look at my videos between, say, the end of last year, the few that I did because I was so just embarrassed by how I look, and you look at the videos now more and more, you're going to see me regenerating. And I want to be honest and open and candid and say this is what happened to me. Otherwise, I see others that are doctors, naturopaths, and so on, and I see them really tank in their energy. And I know that we all have stress. We all have sick family members. We may be sick. Our beloved canine companions may be sick or ill. And often it's by no fault of our own, but sometimes if we start somewhere with making a really good choice, we can redirect some of the bad habits. So the Ninja 900 amp Ninja that comes with two of these, a big one and a smaller one, is $59. And all you got to do is set this on the counter, no water in it, cut your watermelon and cut it into chunks, and take your knife and kind of flick out, just because you don't want to have the whole thing full of ground up seeds unless you like that. It won't hurt you. And you got all the chunks in there. And then you just screw the blender piece on, you turn it upside down, and that's delicious. Now, I put a food-based vitamin C in mine, and that's why you see my skin start getting, aside from a little bit of sunlight, but this is why you see my skin start getting more and more radiant. My eyes are starting to get more and more clear. My hair is starting to get, better and better. I just pull it back because I cut it so short for a while and get it out of my face while I'm on a video and I'm doing things in the house. So we're all going through a lot. And whether you call this the system, the matrix, Babylon, the beast, whatever it is, it's not always the most friendly. In fact, one of the number one coaching requests that I get is for mood disorders. It's young women who say, what am I going to do? Because my partner, I think we're not going to make it, and I'm pregnant, and, I think he thinks I'm absolutely crazy. And now I realize, that was me years ago. So I want you to start somewhere. You can start, if you have the money, to get the $59 smoothie maker. You can chop your stuff up and blend it in there. You can start by going to Aldi's or one of these grocery stores around you, bringing home colorful earth-grown food like watermelons, cantaloupes, celery, papaya, yams, okay, bananas. Stock up on your organic bananas when they're on sale and put them in freezer bags in the freezer. Like when they're 69 cents on sale at Whole Foods in Duluth, I go and I take almost all of them that I can, 5-6 bunches. I come home and I stand there and I just take the jackets off. They go into the compost. If you go to any of the dumps or the WLSSD here, the Western Sanitary Division, they'll give you free food composting bags. Start somewhere. Start with getting up a little bit earlier in the morning, even though you might not feel like it, and say to yourself, I'm even going to go into a yoga pose, child's pose, just until I can think about my dreams, I can think about what it is, and I'm going to steady my energy before I just wake up in a shock. Whew, that was the wind. It's blowing through the windows. Before I think about, everything that's going on in my life and get too wrapped up in the task orientation. Oh, I've got to be at work in an hour. Oh boy, the door's going to slam because of the wind. My house isn't haunted. It's just the wind picked up really big time on a bright sunny day. So you can start somewhere. You can start by taking a walk if you haven't taken a walk in a long time. You can start by faking it until you make it. And that's what I did. So when I felt so bad on March the 6th, I'm going to move this over here for a moment so the dogs don't knock it over because they're bumping the table. They want to get outside and go to the dog park, which we're going to do pretty soon. And they're wondering, what's going on with the door? What, Luna, it's just the wind. It's okay. All right. So you can start somewhere, and you can drop me a note and just let me know, where are you going to start? Let me just tell you something. On March the 6th, because here we are, it is June the 10th today. I don't know what day you're watching this, but today is Monday, June the 10th. I had to stabilize my energy because I was so fried from sleeping 1 to 2 hours a night, from worry and excessive grief and just panic and the stress hormones. I gained 40 pounds. I wasn't taking my supplements. And I said to myself, Karen, this is what you do for other people. You've got to step out of embarrassment for a minute, step out of embarrassment and step into start somewhere. When I went to the gym, my room was a total mess. My body was 45 pounds overweight. I was constantly clearing my throat, constant, to the point that people were like, I'll be with you in a minute. I'm sorry. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was so worried and so sleep deprived that my face continuously looked like the worry, the grief, and and I had to reshape my clay even into, okay, Karen, relax, So I'm not the only one going through this, or we wouldn't have the opioid crisis in the world. We wouldn't have all the heroin and fentanyl in every city and state. And I mean every city and state. I've worked with it so extensively now, been around it so much. Boy, I'm telling you, talk about some interesting weather. It's blowing the blinds, and it's really, this is kind of a really good sign, a good omen. Winds of change. Winds of change are coming. Okay. I was embarrassed. When I went to the gym, I had dog hair stuck to me. It was the month of March. I was busting out of my clothes. I was determined not to go buy new sweatpants. I was so tired from the stress and not sleeping. But I said to myself, I went and I bought a $44 gym membership for the month. And I went over there and I got on the elliptical. I used to always do an hour until about 2 years ago when the stress hit. Okay. And it was outside of my home. And then the other part of the 2 years for another year was in my home. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure I would have lost this person. They would have died. And so I got to the gym, barely getting along, dog hair stuck to my pants, feeling really fat, feeling like I wanted to kind of keep my arms down because I knew that my body was letting out all these toxins, and I stunk to high heaven. Like I smelled so much like onions and yucky stuff. So whenever I work with someone, I completely understand the feelings of, well, I want to kind of get to where you are. And I made myself, here goes the door again. I made myself a promise that by the end of May, so just 10, 11 days ago, that I would be enough on track that I wouldn't be clearing my throat all the time. And I would have had a lot more sleep and a lot more of what I call my phase 2 that I intend to have in my center. Because I've been working with people one-on-one, but I'm ready now after 35 years to have a center where people come and they either buy, a stay for a night, several nights, a week, a month, or several months. Because I've had client after client after client in 35 years that said, but if you only had a place, we would have gladly paid for our loved one to just go there because we don't know how to make this food. And we have to sit there in the session with them, and we have to, figure all this stuff out at a time when they're sick. And so I said, you know what? That's exactly what I need to do. And I've been talking about it for several years, but I've gotten really crystal clear about what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, and what it's going to do for you. Okay. So if you're watching and you're an angel investor, or you're someone who's like, I know somebody who's, got plenty of money and they'd like to invest, and they'd like to be the first to usher this in. And we're talking official business plan based on our discussions. So how much are we going to start with? If we start with $2,000, it's different than if we start with $150,000. We need a place, we need insurance, we need food, we need a little bit of equipment, we need some single twin size beds. We need to get it started. And what I want to do is I want to be running it under, a very professional standard, not a hospital, a center to relax where it's unplugged and you're able to regenerate yourself so that it's peaceful. You can go to a guided meditation in the evening if you want to learn to unwind yourself a little bit, because this that I've been doing since March the 6th and that I've done several times in my life, including when I healed my own ovarian carcinoma, which is documented, Cloquet Memorial Hospital, 2008, I healed it, okay? Asthma, mental health, anxiety and depression, and things like that, I healed it. So I help people put together a plan, or I put it together for them based on, without medical advice, without overstepping any legal boundaries. All right. So you can start somewhere by getting the Ninja, or by going to the dollar store, if this is what you can do right now. And you can get, it's a little clear plastic with a colored top on it, and you can juice your lemons and your limes in it. You can even just start with that. You might be in the Philippines, or you might be in Honduras, or you might be in Africa. You might be way down south in the United States, on the continental United States. You might be in Hawaii right now. And you're going to look around to see, what are my resources? Bless up, Valiant. Good to see you. You might look around and say, what are my resources? Well, I've got a tree full of papayas. Well, someone in the Philippines might have ginger and trees full of lemons and limes. And someone who is down south might have lots of peaches and plums, and, you know. So based on where you are, it might be that you're living in Minnesota or Wisconsin, where I took a foraging retreat with Dr. Tel Oren. We call him Dr. T. 3 summers ago now, as of this summer. This month will be summer, right, in June. And we picked fresh elderberries. So there goes the door again. We're on a windstorm, and Valiant, you probably feel it too. I like the idea of starting somewhere. Yes. Okay. So even if you're diagnosed with cancer, it sounds really scary. In 2008, that was the case for me. My CA-125 blood test was up over triple. It was at a 94 on a 0 out of a 30 was normal. Mine was 94. And I did all the research on it because I got paid to research in law for the judges, for the DA directly. So if the door slams, it's the wind is blowing through the house. And Val, you know, because you live relatively close. Even if you have cancer, and I'm not saying every single person with cancer, every single person who's sick, I'm not saying that I cure people, but I do. What I'm saying is that you've got to start somewhere. A $59 Ninja, here goes the wind, a $5.99 big seeded watermelon. You may have never heard of mono meals, which means that you have one food a day. So you're going into a form of intermittent fasting, which is to have mono meals. You want to keep it something so easy to digest that your body's getting calories, and believe it or not, your best source of collagen is through watermelon. It's tasty, it's refreshing, it's cooling. You can also use that dollar store juicer and juice the limes, and I'll put in 1 to 3 limes in a cup this size. So I add the lime juice in the Dollar Tree juicer. Val, for you, there's a Dollar Tree on Central Entrance. And I juice the 3 limes. I put them in the bottom of this container, so I drop it in there. Okay. Or I put it in the container I'm going to take my juice in. We're going to have to probably end because the wind is going to keep blowing the door. So starting somewhere might mean that you fake it till you make it. It means that you get up and maybe you don't feel the best. Maybe you might even feel like, why am I even alive? Why is this even going on? I've been in situations, I've felt like that. Like, should I even possibly keep going? Was it even realistic to think that I could just keep going after the heroin addiction, after the excessive worry that I had, after not sleeping for almost a year for 1 to 2 hours a night and blowing up with 40 extra pounds of weight and dark circles under my eyes and lots of clearing my throat and feeling white and pasty and yucky? But you can change that. And you change that by starting somewhere. By juicing that lemon, by juicing that lime, by doing some beautiful act of self-love. Self-love means that you take a moment and juice that lemon or lime, that you cut open that cantaloupe. When I go shopping, when I have the privilege of being able to go shopping, because we don't always have that privilege, right? We don't always have money to go buy everything we want to buy. And I've lived through putting myself through college, through being a solo mom, 100%, no grandparents, no dad, no child support, nothing, just me, foster parenting and doing massages and taking care of, 2 children and a dog and a house that needed a ton of repairs, including had a broken window. And I've been where I worked in law and I hadn't had children yet. And I had my paycheck kind of to myself, and you know what I mean? And I could go buy a chai and a muffin somewhere and I could, relax. And I had financial resources, and it's part of what's taught me to be able to overstand what resources are in the matrix, in the system, Babylon, okay, the game, and why they're so important and what we need to be doing about them. But we got to start with strengthening you first. Okay? We've got to start with strengthening you first. You getting onto a plant-based diet, you giving self-love, you developing good daily habits. If you get up and you're eating a big bowl of Frosted Flakes with cow milk, you get up and you're eating a ton of food first thing when you wake up in the morning, likely you're probably not going to feel as good. You're going to feel really slugged down. You're going to feel heavy energy. It's going to feel different than if you get on to mono meals, meaning maybe for 1 week, all you're going to do is do a $5.99 watermelon, right? Maybe you're going to do a $5.99 watermelon once a day because your budget can afford that. Maybe for you, you have trees full of papayas and you're going to do papayas every day for the next 2 weeks. And you're going to give your digestive system time to recuperate and regenerate itself, to take a downtime from breads and macaroni and cheese and heavy animal products and things like that. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Let me get my glasses. I can't read because it's really tiny on the right-hand side here. Right. Yep. So most people do really well as a fruitarian, except that the dogs are freaking out underneath my legs because they're wondering why is the door slamming and then opening and then slamming shut. And I live in Minnesota now. It's not California, so the weather changes. Like, just give it a couple minutes and the weather changes here. It's like really comical, but it's the truth. So anyway, Pablo's chilling in the front yard, and we're going to go to the dog park here shortly. But a lot of people will tell you, well, you can't really do that because of the sugar. You can't really become a fruitarian. And that's not true, because your body will learn to use the glucose and the fructose in a very different way once you get through taking all that excess weight off the body. If you have excess weight, you know it. You know it when you sit down. You know it if you kind of grab your stomach. You know it if you can kind of pinch on your arms. And yet everything we've been taught through the medical industry is that, nope, they would say she's a great weight if they looked at me right now, but I'm actually really overweight for me. Okay, I'm actually 35, 40 pounds overweight right now. I am. So imagine with all that extra weight on your frame, and so you start getting more saliva, you start getting more fluids going, you start circulating your fluids better. You can't do that when you're digesting all this heavy gunk all the time. I mean, it's just really common sense. But the trolls out there are put into place. I've paid, maybe some of them don't do it in a paid position, but they're doing it as a means to say, detoxification is really to be debunked, and you can't really cleanse yourself, and you already have your liver and your kidneys and your bowel, and it already does all that for you. But that's not really true, because if you're eating and eating and eating, and most people are eating food drugs and they're eating all the time and they're eating out of stress, then they're going to end up causing themselves a problem. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Do give yourself self-love. Tell yourself, you know what, that's right. I can even watch Karen again. I can turn it back on again. Give yourself love. And tell yourself, I don't care what the diagnosis is. I don't care what they're telling you. Take care of you. Take care of you. If you've got to carry around and go to Whole Foods and get a blue non-BPA gallon container and drink that water and let your body get all this excess weight off, and cut up your watermelon and eat it. Don't blend it. Maybe you can't blend it right now. Maybe you don't have a blender, but you can cut it into chunks and you can sit outside on a sunny, ledge or a porch or out on the lawn or go for a walk around the lake walk and bring your watermelon with you and sit down and really enjoy it. Notice the color, notice the sweetness. Spend time and give thanks for the food that you have. Sometimes people will see me and I'll do this because we're too far apart and they can't hear my voice. I don't want to go, hey, it's me, So sometimes I'll just do this, which just means, or this, which just means typically it's my left hand, the one that says the blessed love on the tattoo here. And if I was been thinking in my right mind, I would have been thinking about, what's that going to look like when I'm like 70, because I'm approaching 60. But anyway, it is what it is. It's going to be what it is. Don't get tattoos. Okay, don't do what I did because they deposit pigment that goes into your organs. So when I do this, it means heartbeat to you. It's like a bird fluttering, giving you a heartbeat. I think I saw Val when I was driving by and I went like this. So that's what that means. My neighbor's like, to Anthony, is she deaf? And he was like, no, she's just saying heartbeat. So one love, I'm regenerating. You can regenerate. We're going to do it together. You have me by your side. I want to give a shout out and send love to Norman Carter. Austin, I hope I'm saying your name right. Austin Golazi. To Zawa, to Anthony, to Val, to Kim, to Amber, to many people, to Ida Nielsen. And I just want to say, give yourself the love. Give yourself a chance just to try fruits and veggies and a plant-based diet, grains. Let's give it a try. Bring home colorful, fresh food and let that be what you eat. Make thy food thy medicine. You can do it. And it will heal you. It's healed me more than 5 times now. And it's going to regenerate me. You're going to watch the process as we go. So my thyroid was a little bit swollen. You can kind of even see the outline of it, because of everything I went through. So just watch me, look at my videos, and you can see how I degenerated and I'm regenerating, right? Not because I went out, and did bad things, but because stressors are going to come up with our families. Parents are aging and they die. Things happen with our children. Things happen with our nieces and nephews, So I have a close family member that had heroin addiction. And that's what happened to me for a year. And it's a lot. Okay. So hopefully I look better and I look rested all the time, more rested and rested all the time. And I send you love and you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.